New this morning, the acting attorney general says the man taken into custody after authorities say he started shooting toward the ballroom where the White House Correspondents Dinner was being held last night may have been targeting administration officials. Authorities say a 31-year-old man from California charged past a security barricade toward the underground ballroom before being tackled to the ground. An officer was shot in a bullet-resistant vest and is okay, out of the hospital this morning. No one else was injured. Police believe the man acted alone. Vice President J.D. Vance was rushed out while Secret Service covered President Donald Trump before getting him off the stage. President Trump stayed in a presidential suite, hoping the event could continue, but that did not happen at the advice of Secret Service. He later spoke from the White House.
That was very unexpected, but incredibly acted upon by Secret Service and law enforcement. This was an event dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press, and in a certain way it did.
The White House Correspondents Association hopes to reschedule the dinner. President Trump hopes it will happen within 30 days. This was his first time attending that annual event.